General Naravane, PVSM, AVSM, SM, VSM, ADC, Chief of the Army Staff, Indian Army, Dr. G. Satish Reddy, Mr. Sanjay Jaju, Baba Kalyani, Chairman of CII Manufacturing Council and the founding president of SIDM, Chandrajit Banerjee, SP Shukla, my colleague at SIDM, and Sujit. Senior officers of the Army, members of the industry, and friends from the media. At the outset, I would like to thank General Naravane. He is extremely busy, and despite all those schedules, when I met him a couple of weeks back and suggested that this is a history-making event, we are celebrating the Silver Jubilee of the Army-Industry Partnership that began in 1995. And he readily accepted to be the host today, and of course, he is present for this occasion. I want to also thank Dr. Satish Reddy, the Secretary, the Department of Defense R&D, and of course, Chairman DRDO, and of course, Sanjay Jaju, about to be joining us any moment. I wish to place my sincere gratitude and appreciation towards their continuous support from the Army Chief as well as from the Secretary and Dr. Reddy throughout this year, which has been extremely challenging, and that's exactly the reason we had to delay this function. We completed 25 years of Army-Industry Partnership on between 12th and 14th of September 2020, and we hope that by January or February we may be able to meet in person. Of course, that has not happened, and we are here now in this digital event. Today we have gathered obviously for this Silver Jubilee of this strong and unique partnership between the industry and the Indian Army. And I must say that there has been some visionary leadership of those days. That time, of course, General Roy Choudhury was at the helm of the Indian Army. Tarun Das was at CII. We had Raksha Mantri in the form of Pranab Mukherjee. We had Dr. Kalam joining, and it was a who's who of the Ministry of Defense and the Armed Forces on the dais when we had that first AIP 95. This partnership has grown from September 95 and matured over the years, and the Army played an extremely transformative role, and of course the Ministry of Defense and the other arms who joined. It started with very, very simple baby steps in finding indigenous substitutes for the imported, mainly Russian parts and components for sustainment of the Army equipment, and series of exhibitions that were held arm by arm, and then obviously industry was welcome to start looking at some of those and what can be done in terms of indigenization. Concurrently was a whole lot of design and development, indigenous product related program that DRDO was spearheading, and of course we see the scenario dramatically has changed over these 25 years. The ecosystem has thus got created which covers almost all stakeholders. Started from R&D, the academia, the public and the private industry of all sizes, and indeed, recently we have also seen the startups and innovators have found a mentor in the Indian Army, and there's a truly an ownership, as we'll see sometime down the line, that there have been extreme ownership by General Johor's team and the earlier Army R&D board, Army Design Board. Credit for these developments spanning these last 25 years is obviously due to the leadership, and that's essentially the leadership blessed that this kind of a relationship is necessary, while we actually have been hearing Make in India only last 6 years. These have this Army leadership constantly posed faith in the Indian industry, their proactive outreach and supportive policy environment created by the ministry and the DRDO, and vast network of DRDO's laboratories provided a bedrock of support in handholding the Indian industries during this entire period. Almost entire defense industry in the private sector, I can say, has emerged out of being small partners to DRDO and of course in pursuit of indigenous design and development of products. We are proud of the achievements of Indian Army during these years and gratefully salute our brave soldiers and officers who have proven their mettle, resolve and dedication each and every time when there have been some situation at the borders. Obviously, we are so happy and glad to be of some support and help in making their life easier in their cause. In 95, obviously this was the first event, which was a public event that happened, and of course subsequently the Kargil followed. Post Kargil, the industry opened in 2001, and I remember in 2001-2002 we had the first DPP which only talked of buy, and primarily buy those days meant buy global, except for licensed production in India. And then the subsequent DPPs have seen introduction of Buy Indian. Thereafter came the Make, also came the Buy and Make Indian, and of course before that came the Buy and Make Global and Buy and Make Indian as a split. And then of late we have actually seen IDDM, which was in recognition of the capability of the Indian industry nearly 20 years after 1995. Now, this is exactly how one can say that these 25 years have completely transformed the way we do business, the way the armed forces and industry works, along with the Ministry of Defense playing that supportive role. And of course, over the past 6 years, we have seen complete transformation of the business environment in the country. And that's essentially where we have seen Make in India come in, Make in India transform into Atmanirbhar Bharat, and several policy initiatives have been taken by the government, with all of them primarily aiming to create a long-term momentum toward growth of the defense industry in years to come. The negative list of imports followed. The DPP, rather the DAP 2020 came in, and a large list of projects for R&D and industry partnership actually started happening. Thrust for indigenization, engagement with the whole startup ecosystem. All these changes and the enabling procedures only transform the Indian defense industry in terms of what we would do. I'm confident that with the defense production and export promotion policy, which is still in the draft stage, would truly pave way for taking the Indian industry to that 25 billion by 2025. And of course, in this process, I'm certain that the industry will not only increase its contribution towards Atmanirbhar, but also achieve much higher levels of exports. In our journey towards Atmanirbhar, in the strategic defense sector, the Indian Army has extended a great support and has guided the industry. Through its outreach programs, which began about 4 or 5 years back, there have been dozens and dozens of Saturday, Sunday visits that happened to multiple locations in the country, and of course, right into the industry, as well as to the startup locations. And through this outreach, we have seen that it's not just to familiarize with the industry and with the requirements of the armed forces. It also meant that Army was for the first time openly talking about what we have seen in the form of compendium of the problem statements and the technological challenges. They're actually being talked about, verbalized, written down. And we constantly talk those days that having identified a problem is half the solution achieved. And that's essentially where a new relationship completely began, and that culminated in formation of the Army Design Board. We are now seeing the scenario completely evolving to different levels of partnership, and we have seen that the startup pitch webinar, which recently we had conducted, Army actually owning up some of those startups and becoming a mentor in some form to actually see that some of these extremely innovative new technology products start happening. Through this endeavor, the ADB has shortlisted 13 defense startups, and who we actually will see will be creating some completely new disruptive solutions in times to come. This is a great initiative and a lot of encouragement to all the participating startups. With the top leadership of the Indian Army and very senior officials of the MOD, and of course all of my industry colleagues present here, I would like to use this platform to share a very critical perspective regarding to defense sector. Globally, defense industry is accorded the status of a strategic sector and extended a lot of support in policy, in fiscal form, as well as in capital domains. This is to develop, grow, and sustain the military industrial complexes. As much as we need the armed forces, we need the sixth arm of the defense, which essentially forms the backbone as industry. We look towards the world, and every country we have seen has done its own defense industry, has grown it, sustained it, and has produced the so-called global defense OEMs. They are today not only selling and developing for their own countries, but going right across, and India has just joined that club. Although much down the line in the order of, as the CIPRI puts it, but at the same time, the fact remains that we have dramatically grown in last few years in export and has joined that club. Call it the infamous club, as many environmentalists would want to say it, but it's an imperative when you have rogue enemies which are knocking at your border. We also need to do that in terms of times to come, and India obviously would become far, far more powerful and truly have its place in the economic order of the world or the geopolitical order of the world. COVID-19 highlighted very critical dependence of foreign sources, and that of course meant that all of us start looking inwards, and that's exactly where the Atmanirbhar Bharat scheme that was announced by the Prime Minister. We need to use this momentum in the kind of immediate future to support our industry. Also that huge investments that they have made in the plants, machinery, skills, and fully harnessed. That is possible only by keeping the industry going on with the orders, and we have seen that this very year, along with the negative list of items, came in the 52,000 crores of budget allocation for the Indian industry. That's a great start, and we only need to sustain and grow on that foundation. With a strong foundation already in place, as I just said, we are certain to carry the Army industry partnership to a much higher levels of engagement as well as trust. On behalf of CII and SIDL, I reiterate our commitment on having completed 25 years of this association towards Make in India Atmanirbhar and in defense production, which essentially would be the route to make that Atmanirbhar happen. And to borrow a line from the Chief of Defense Staff, so that the next Indian wars could be won with Indian solutions. Ladies and gentlemen, at this moment, as a tribute to the recognition of this partnership, I now would like you to see a small video which actually showcases this journey for the last 25 years.
Since the first Army Industry Partnership Conference in 1995, the industry's connect with the Army has evolved and strengthened immensely. This partnership began with CII channelizing industry capabilities to meet immediate requirements of spares and components of foreign-made weapon systems of the Army in the 90s. The partnership has created a very broad interface between the industry and various arms of the service, which has enabled industry to understand the diverse requirements and provide indigenous solutions to them. From artillery to communication equipment, The Indian Army and industry have worked together to achieve indigenization and self-reliance through multiple joint initiatives. Platforms created in collaboration with CII such as AMICON, DEFCON, RTEC and others with various directorates of the Army have allowed the industry to connect directly with the end users and has truly catalyzed the nation's effort towards self-reliance. This partnership grew from strength to strength when both institutions worked collectively to support each other when the nation went through challenging periods in the last 2.5 decades. As we begin the new decade, this partnership between the Army and CII has resulted in the industry developing a complete range of equipment for the Army and continues to provide solutions with indigenously developed technology. Today, these solutions meet global standards of quality, operational performance, affordability, and have driven exports. To institutionalize the process of enhancing capacity and building capabilities, to develop and produce military equipment indigenously in close collaboration with Army and industry, the need to unify and channelize industry efforts was imperative. To address this national priority, CII promoted the Society of Indian Defence Manufacturers or SIDM in 2017 as a unique institution to consolidate industry efforts and act as a one-stop shop for the armed forces. CII and SIDM will continue to build this long-standing partnership as a facilitator and an advocate to make India truly Atmanirbhar in defence production.
We have more than about 1,000 technology transfers which are given to the industry today. Industry has geared up, they're able to absorb the technologies, they're able to produce these systems in numbers with quality. And in the coming days, we are coming out with many measures which can support the industry to come up on their own. They will be able to design, they will be able to develop and they will be able to produce.
The Indian defence industries have been galvanized through progressive policy and procedural reforms. Make in India has catapulted the Indian industry to higher levels of manufacturing capability and innovation to deliver a wide array of high technology defence platforms and systems to our armed forces. They serve capability requirements of Indian forces and can compete with the global best.
Indian ecological system of industries and research and development have demonstrated the capability to design, develop and deliver military systems with contemporary technology which match the global best in performance. As a force, it immensely multiplies our capability.
प्राइवेट इंडस्ट्री, MSME और एकेडमिया के साथ मिलकर सेना एक आत्मनिर्भर डिफेंस इकोसिस्टम बनाने में महत्वपूर्ण योगदान दे रही है। इससे स्वदेशी टेक्नोलॉजी को बढ़ावा मिलेगा और इंपोर्ट्स पर हमारी निर्भरता कम होगी।
May I request now Chandrajit to speak? CV?
Thank you very much. No problem. General M.N. Ravne, the Chief of Army Staff of the Indian Army. We have senior officials from the government and the senior officers of the Army, from the industry, Baba Kalyani, Jayant Patel and Mr. S.P. Shukla, members of the industry and lots of important people from both industry and the government and institutions. A very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. And at the outset, I'd really once again like to sincerely thank from the Confederation of Indian Industry, from CII, General Naravne, for being here with us today and for being a part of this very, very special occasion commemorating the 25 years, as was being mentioned, of the Army Industry Partnership. As we all heard in the last few minutes, that we started this journey in 1995 and over the years strengthened this partnership, which has really today led to evolution of the Indian defense industry consisting of both the public and the private sectors. And in fact, when we started this dialogue, which is being talked about in 1995, the defense sector was not really open to participation by the private sector. And Mr. Jayant Patil gave a sort of the map or the road that has been traversed since then. And development of the defense industry actually has been a very important pillar of CII's work, and it has been our vision to empower and enable the Indian industry to provide solutions for the armed forces. For achieving this, we embarked with our first Army Industry Partnership Conference in 1995. And in the last 2.5 decades or so, we have been working very consistently with the Army, which has resulted in industry producing not only spares and components akin to the initial years, but full-fledged systems which meet today's operational requirements. From CII, we really firmly believe that the growth, strength, and stature of a nation is defined by its economic and military powers. As the country has changed its economic path in the 1990s and grew significantly in other sectors, CII, we realized the need to build the defense industry and create indigenous capability to meet immediate as well as emerging requirements of the forces. And this partnership that started when CII facilitated the Army's requirement for procuring spares and components of foreign origin, which were required for critical operations during various geopolitical situations. And this process also enabled CII for us to really understand the various challenges and barriers which were preventing the Indian industry from creating a strong defense industrial base in the country. And to remove these barriers, again from CII, we worked on a strong policy reforms through its advocacy initiatives, and also in the 2000s, where we worked very closely with the Ministry of Defense by creating some exclusive joint task forces, which led to the sector opening up for private participation in 2001. And of course, the opening up of the defense sector hitherto reserved only for government entities for the entry of private industry in 2001 was indeed a very important landmark. But there was much work to be done to align the defense production policy as well as the procurement procedures to fully harness that entrepreneurial spirit of the Indian industry. And the private sector also needed a lot of handholding support during those days, especially the initial when one was making initial forays into military products and platforms. And today one is really extremely happy that the promulgation of the first defense procurement procedure way back in July 2002 to the defense acquisition procedure in 2020 unveiled in September of 2020. The Indian defense industries, especially the Indian private sector industry, that's really come a long way. And when we look back at our association with the Army for the past 25 years, we are extremely proud to know that today our industry members, many are present here today, are producing complete systems and supplying to the Army. And with Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, government has emphatically endorsed the high potential of the Indian industry, both public and private, R&D institutions, and our technology collaborations to design, develop, and manufacture the state-of-the-art defense platforms and systems to meet the requirement of our defense forces. And I'm quite sure that the Indian industry will live up to the high trust which has been posed by the country's leadership. And our industries have built a very strong and a solid foundation with a contemporary manufacturing and quality systems to on a reputable place, if one can say, in the global supply chain. And our export growth over the last 5 years speak that as an ample proof of quality of products and their delivery performance. And in a first, if one can say again, India has figured in a list of global arms exporters in 2019-20, making a modest entry at a serial number 23. When we are certain that this proactive policy support of the government of India, which has been very strongly there, this ranking will rise sharply in the coming years. Again, if I can say that from CII as an institution, which worked tirelessly to foster this development as an advocate of reforms and as a bridge between the Indian industry and the army, we're indeed very delighted that we are able to uplift and build the capability of the Indian industry for meeting the ever-challenging requirements of our forces. While we have achieved successes, there is much more to be done for India to become completely self-reliant, as was again mentioned by Mr. Jayant Patil. And CII's continuous and this thorough commitment that we have to this cause will drive engagements at all levels of the government, the forces, the international community, to make India the defense manufacturing hub of the world. This has been a great journey for CII, the formation of the SIDM, and since the start in the 1995, and it's great to have we have a strong setup in the CII today, and I can see that Mr. Sushanto Sen, who was one of the pioneers in our system to start this work, present here today in this very important ceremony that we are having here today, and to support the cause of self-reliance in the defense sector. Again, CII, in collaboration with the leading defense industries in our country, has the entire formation of the SIDM, which was mentioned. We are indeed proud to see that partnership also evolve so very strongly. Today, we are proud to promote this institution, SIDM, which is recognized as the Apex Industry Association in the country, representing the entire spectrum of the Indian defense and the aerospace industry, and working towards making India Atmanirbhar in defense production. And we have great stalwarts handling, all of them are present over here, the SIDM, and it is indeed very gratifying to see that. And I must also say that we are very grateful to the government, the leadership of the Ministry of Defense and the armed forces in particular, who have steadfastly guided, supported, and facilitated the activities of SIDM and CII to work together and work towards the growth and capacity building of the Indian industry in the strategic defense sector. We remain committed in India's Atmanirbhar journey through SIDM, and wherever required, we'll directly intervene to clear any impediments as India walks, or if I may say rather run, in its journey towards self-reliance. Let me end by saying that we feel confident that this partnership will flourish and rise to greater heights under SIDM, wherever requirements of the Army is met by the Indian industry. So thank you very much, and Jai Hind.
Thank you, Chandrajit. And I must acknowledge two things. One is you very rightly brought out, that Mr. Sen was the man who actually was the first, the secretary for this chamber that we started. I was not aware that Mr. Sen is here. Sen and Satish or Sujit were the team at CII those days, and some of us from industry, of course, have been interacting on these early days. Also, I must thank you for bringing out that evolution of the partnership with CII, between the Indian Army and CII, and also for making that firm commitment about any impediments. We are all here to see them through. Thank you so much. The next speaker I'm going to be calling in is a beacon of the industry, aptly laid the foundation of the SIDM. It's Chandrajit and of course Baba, who started this idea of creating SIDM, and of course supported very aptly by the then Defense Minister, and that's exactly why we were born. We have deep sense of gratitude towards Baba being the foundation member of SIDM, and with that bit of a short background, I would like to request Baba now to begin. Baba, as I said, is the CII Manufacturing Council Chairman and the founding President of SIDM. Baba, to you.
Thank you, Jay. General Naramne, Chief of the Army Staff, Indian Army, Dr. Satish Reddy, Secretary, Department of Defense, R&D and Chairman of DRDO, Sri Sanjay Jaju, Additional Secretary, Department of Defense Production, Sri Jayant Patil, President of SIDM, Mr. Shukla, Vice President of SIDM, Chandrajit Banerjee, Director General of CII, all the senior officers of the Indian Army, our colleagues from the industry, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor and my pleasure to be here on this very, very special occasion of celebrating the Silver Jubilee of Industry-Army interactions that commenced in 1995, as Chandrajit just said. And for me, it's been a special journey as chairman of the CII National Committee of Defense many years ago, and of course as the founding president of the Society of Indian Defense Manufacturers, which formed a couple of years ago. When I reflect upon the progress that the Indian defense industry have made in the past 25 years, and much has been talked about it by both Jayant as well as Chandrajit, I would agree that we have covered a lot of distance from being on the periphery as suppliers to ordnance factories and defense PSUs to now at the forefront as partners, collaborators with DRDO, with the defense public sector units, and collectively supplying state-of-the-art modern weapon systems to the Indian Army. We as industry have also had many successes and the opportunity to contribute to strengthen India's indigenous capacities and capabilities in the field of artillery systems, communication systems, shipbuilding, armored vehicles, missile systems, military aircrafts, UAVs, drones, and many others, just to name a few. As an industry representative, I take pride in the constructive transformation that we have witnessed over the last 2 decades, especially in the last 10 years. I would also like to take this opportunity to place on record the strong support and guidance and encouragement that we have received from the Ministry of Defense, Government of India, from the DRDO organizations, and tremendous hand-holding and confidence demonstrated by the Indian Army and the armed forces. Over the years, the Ministry of Defense has taken many measures to encourage the Indian private sector's role and contribution in the defense sector. This got accelerated in December 2014 with the Prime Minister's announcement of the Make in India initiative. And with that followed the introduction of the defense procurement procedures in the early 2000s, followed by a slew of constructive, progressive reforms, including liberalized defense licensing procedures, make projects, opening up of test ranges, and several other measures of the Government of India and the Indian Army, which have been a very, very strong pillar of support to back the Indian industry. The Honorable Prime Minister's Make in India, the Atmanirbhar Bharat mission, only has further galvanized this support and confidence that the industry has today. I would particularly like to acknowledge the stellar role that is played by various technical establishments and laboratories under the aegis of the Defense Research and Development Organizations, DRDO, that have provided requisite guidance and opportunity to the Indian industry partners in pursuit of their development of indigenous technology, capability, resources, and now full products. DRDO in many ways is the foundational pillar around which the Indian defense industry has grown and has been nurtured. DRDO's policies for transfer of technology, the TOTs, the Technology Development Fund, the TDF, the concept around development production partner, the DCPP, the dissemination of all DRDO patents to Indian industry, evaluation and certification support through agencies such as SEMILAC, etc., have been a tremendous support for the growth of the Indian private sector. In line with the Atmanirbhar Bharat mission, DRDO identified and released an exclusive list of 108 systems and subsystems for only Indian industry to develop, design, and manufacture, which again demonstrates the faith and confidence reposed in the Indian industry. The opportunity and aspiration of the Indian industry. While I do acknowledge and take pride in what we have achieved so far, and it's not a short achievement that the industry has done. I personally believe with the game-changing reforms undertaken, especially in the last 5 years, the Indian private sector defense industry is currently at the cusp of a very major transformational change and has a great opportunity to prove its mettle. Jayan talked a little bit about this in terms of opportunities for exports. The Indian Army, by its magnitude, the second largest army in the world, with its ongoing modernization drive, presents a huge opportunity for the Indian industry to play a constructive and a catalyzing role in this national endeavor. By leveraging this opportunity, the aspiration for the Indian industry should be now to transform itself to being at the forefront of the global defense and aerospace markets by three things. One, creating intellectual property and indigenous capability in frontier technologies. Second, developing sophisticated weapon systems, integrated platforms for the armed forces. And third, most important, unleashing the entrepreneurial spirit and contribute in nation building. My own personal experience says that once the Indian Army acknowledges our capabilities, we can be a preferred supplier not only to our armed forces, but a major supplier and exporter of advanced weapon systems to friendly foreign countries. The Honorable Prime Minister's Atmanirbhar Bharat mission and the armed forces commitment to handhold the Indian industry in our journey towards modernization via self-reliance has actually energized and motivated the entire Indian defense sector. While I do consider that the Atmanirbhar Bharat mission is a recognition of the capability of Indian industry to deliver the capabilities that our forces need, the extent policies and procedures support that mission. I hope that the myriad decision-making structures of our system will not hold us back. I'm certain that all of you will agree that the COVID pandemic has forced us in many, many areas to break our silos and operate seamlessly using digital technology, just like we are doing today on this virtual digital platform. This in many ways has increased our productivity. Tackling COVID has actually demonstrated and proved that we in India can bring change better than many other nations. I think what we heard yesterday in the inaugural address of President Biden, he didn't mention India, but clearly there was a concern as to how a larger country and power like the United States has not been able to tackle COVID as effectively as what we have done. Our industry is characterized by its entrepreneurial spirit coupled with a zeal to bring progressive change, which has resulted in India growing tremendously in sectors requiring high technology. India's position of strength in sectors such as nuclear, space, and automotive is a testimony to that. For galvanizing defense production, the industry is working with the same spirit, energy, commitment, and the talent pool and the zeal that is available. Achieving self-reliance, Atmanirbharta in defense is a journey and not a destination. As we chart our way forward through this journey, it is imperative that all the prime stakeholders, the users, mainly the Indian Army, the manufacturers, the private and public sector, the researchers and the research labs headed by the DRDO, and the policymakers, the Ministry of Defense, to cohesively and collectively take necessary actions and work towards making India Atmanirbhar in defense and security. As the founding president of SIDM and chairman of CII's Manufacturing Council, I would like to reiterate our commitment towards making India self-reliant in all aspects of defense production. And we look forward to the next 25 years of our greater partnership with the Indian Army. Thank you and Jai Hind.
Thank you, Baba. Thank you for your address and highlighting the role of the industry in developing the strategic sectors of India. These are domains in which we completely stand firmly on our own feet, and I'm sure with the conducive environment in place, we'll see that happening right across the sectors. I wish to now call Dr. Satish Reddy, uh, Chairman DRDO and Secretary Department of Defense R&D.
Mr. Jayant Patil, President SIDM, and all other dignitaries who are present here, and then friends from armed forces and industry. My best wishes to all of you and greetings to you on this occasion. At the outset, let me congratulate SIDM for organizing this seminar on the occasion of 25 years of partnership between armed forces and the industry. The industry has come a long way in the last about 25 years to 30 years, transforming itself from just being a component manufacturer or a build-to-print manufacturer to today a stage where they are independently able to develop systems and produce them, and with large production facilities and infrastructure. Many industries today have transformed from build to print to build to specifications. They have become development partners. They are able to build systems today, and they have come to the stage where the industry, particularly the private industry, has come up where they are able to take the production, integration of critical systems also. Today, if Akash system is being produced by BDL, 85 to 87% of the Akash by value are coming from private industry. Similarly, if we are able to develop radars, there is tremendous contribution from the industry today, whether it is TR modules or various signal processing units, antennas and the gimbal systems and many things. Similarly, in most of the systems which we are making today, industry is playing a major role. There are more than 1800 private industries which are working with us at Tier 1 and Tier 2 level, and more than about 10,000 industries at Tier 3 level. This is a huge number, and day by day it is expanding. Industries are able to put in a lot of infrastructure and skilled manpower into their organizations and able to build many systems. To support them, lots of policies are coming from the Ministry of Defence and Government of India, particularly for the armed forces. All the systems which are being imported today, particularly the spare parts and various systems and subsystems which are part of major systems like aircrafts like Su-30 or Jaguar or Sukhoi or T-90 or T-72 systems and things like that. We are trying to indigenize most of them through industry. For that, DRDO is actively pursuing the technology development funding, wherein all these problems have been put in the website, or they can be suo motu proposal coming from the industry, and for making that system based on the capabilities, DRDO will be funding him more than 90% of the value, and each industry can be funded up to 10 crore rupees. And we have made our processes very simplified now, and last year the number has gone up to 25 industries have taken this, and further we want to increase it. We want to support even startups and just youngsters who have come out of the colleges also, by funding them for various innovations or developments. Particularly the youngsters jumping into the area of defense systems is highly encouraging today. In the last couple of years, I have seen number of youngsters are coming up with many startups and many ideas saying that they will be working for the defense of the country, which otherwise they were only working for the ICT, information communication technology area. This is a very welcome move what the youngsters have taken up. So we need to support them, and so we are coming out with a number of schemes to support these youngsters also. So I am sure with all this approach now and the type of support which is coming out from various agencies and DRDO particularly has come out with many industry friendly approaches, wherein the bank guarantees for the FIMs and security bonds, all those things have been removed, the processes have been simplified, and many things have been brought in the procedures, which actually we got it, the procurement manual 2020 has been issued already, and the test facilities have been made open, the patents have been made open to the Indian industry today, and we have invited in each and every project of us now development cum production partner from industry joining from there, and wherein even critical systems like missiles we have opened it to the private industry. So lots of measures, and I am sure with all these measures, not just from DRDO, from all other departments of the Ministry of Defence, the industry will be flourishing in a big way, and they will be able to make state-of-the-art systems, advanced systems, and I am sure the type of support which is coming from the government for export, which we have seen recently, the government has cleared the export of Akash missiles to various countries. The industries here should be able to export the systems to various countries. So I am sure that in the next 4-5 years later, this country will have lots of indigenous content in the armed forces, and will be seeing a tremendous amount of increase in the exports. So that makes the country real Atmanirbhar by the design, development and production capability here in this country of the state-of-art systems which are required by the armed forces. I once again congratulate SIDM for organizing this seminar, and I am sure that they will be able to make the industry come up to the occasion, take all the advantages of all these measures taken by the Government of India, and they should be able to produce state-of-the-art systems here, supply to our armed forces and export to the world. Jai Hind. Namaskar.
Thank you, Dr. Reddy, for your inspiring address and truly defining what an Atmanirbhar would actually mean in times to come. Also for illuminating DRDO's initiatives and being the true mentor of the Indian industry for nearly, I would say, more than 3 decades now. Ladies and gentlemen, on this historic day, there's yet another cause, and I'm just going to be talking about that. We have 2 institutions that have both been raised in 2017 to foster the growth of the industry. One raised by the Army, and second raised by the CII. These institutions are the Army Design Bureau and the SIDM. Both have been working very, very closely since their concurrent inceptions, and today we are coming together to work under an institutional framework to further strengthen our goals towards making India Atmanirbhar. Of course, that would mean a new era in defense production and defense R&D. This MOU will add a new chapter to our strong partnership with the Indian Army, and I am confident that we'll be able to facilitate and create more opportunities for the industry under this MOU. I call upon Major General Jawahar, the Director General SIDM, Sujit Haridas. Please come forward and sign the MOU and exchange. Thank you, General and Sujit. I would now like to call upon General Naravne, the Chief of the Army Staff, for his address. General Sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. Mr. Patil, Mr. Banerjee, Mr. Kalyani, Dr. Reddy, all my colleagues from the armed forces. I am not going in any particular order, except the order in which everybody has spoken. So no offense meant to anyone. It gives me great pleasure to deliver this address, marking this remarkable association of 25 years of Army-industry partnership. And at the outset, let me congratulate the CII and the SIDM who have actively steered this association. As Mr. Patil had mentioned, we were to hold this sometime in September. We'll have to go back. But unfortunately, because of the COVID, we could not do that. And we are now online here. But it would have been a good occasion had we been able to do it in September, because that is when I was also planning the Chiefs Conclave. And it would have been a good opportunity for all the former chiefs to renew their association with the SIDM. But that was not to be. I am told that the catalyst for this partnership 2 decades back was for this growing need for indigenization of spares. But what started off as a mere facilitation has now transformed into an enduring relationship. The private industry is today providing us major defense platforms, including artillery guns, bridges, radars, and a wide range of weapons, ammunition, and equipment. The Indian Army, on its part, has established the ADB, which has been proactively reaching out to effectively harness the potential of our industry towards defense indigenization. There is a dynamic relationship between capability development and evolving security threats. Let me give the example of a hunter and tiger. Once a hunter goes to the forest to hunt a tiger, he waits patiently, and when he gets time to get a clear shot, the tiger jumps high, the hunter fires low. They both run back. The hunter thereafter practices on how to shoot low and goes back to hunt. But to his surprise, he finds that the tiger is also practicing how to jump low. So there will always be this tussle between tiger and hunter, which is actually nothing but threats and capabilities. And a dynamic relation exists between these two, with each always trying to be one up on the other. Hence, to remain current and relevant, capability development must foresee future threats and evolve accordingly. 2020 was a unique year, the twin challenges of the COVID pandemic and the belligerence on the northern borders. The events of the past year have brought to the fore the vulnerability of global supply chains, underscoring the need for self-reliance. Today, self-reliance in defense has become a strategic necessity. It is imperative for us to invest in building long-term indigenous capabilities for application across the entire spectrum of conflict. Niche technologies, including artificial intelligence, autonomous unmanned systems, long-range precision technology, the Internet of Things, 5G, quantum computing, directed energy systems, swarm drones are but a few, And all these will certainly need to be acquired and absorbed as part of our deliberate and continuous process. It is a vital facet of our operational needs at strategic, operational, and even tactical levels, and these have to be addressed in an acceptable time frame. However, it must be appreciated that the dual requirement of fast-tracking modernization and simultaneously promoting self-reliance are indeed challenging objectives for a developing nation like India. Considering the quick pace of defense modernization being undertaken by our adversaries, we are lagging behind slightly. The continuous and heavy dependence of the Indian armed forces on equipment of foreign origin needs to be addressed in right earnest through indigenous capability development. And towards meeting the modern day defense requirements, I would like to dwell upon what we are doing, where we are, and what we need to do to be self-reliant. So what are we doing? We are aware that the indigenous defense industry is a big enabler for self-reliance and capability building, and it is a prerequisite to maintain our strategic influence and freedom of action. Atmanirbhar Bharat is a resolve towards making India self-reliant in all aspects, thereby enabling India to become a key player in the global economy. Our external dependence for weapons and ammunition creates vulnerabilities during times of crisis. However, in the past few years, we have tried to reverse this trend by boosting indigenization and focusing on dual purpose, high-end technology. This approach will not only ensure self-reliance, but will also hold good during times of contingency. Ladies and gentlemen, the Indian Army remains committed towards all-out support to enabling our industry, especially in the domain of research and development, which will afford cutting-edge technology to win the wars of tomorrow. We are committed to procuring indigenous equipment and weapon systems, as nothing is more motivating for any army than to fight and win its wars with indigenous technologies and weapons. It may be noted that 75% of our priority 1 projects in the 13th Army Plan, costing over rupees 1,50,000 crore, are supporting our efforts towards the Make in India program. You are also well aware that the Ministry of Defense has placed an indigenization list of 101 defense items. This would offer an extraordinary chance to the Indian industry to produce these items using their own capacities. For the Indian Army, the percentage of global schemes that are being contracted has been going down over the past years. There are a number of schemes in the pipeline which have a wholly indigenous content, whether it be the 10-meter short span modular bridge or the ATAGS. The government is also focusing on increasing the indigenous content in equipment under manufacture in the country through transfer of technologies in order to assist our MSMEs. An important issue that one needs to keep in mind is that indigenous development alone cannot fill existing and envisaged operational voids due to lack of niche technology and manufacturing capability. Hence, there may be some inescapable need on certain percentage of imports. One cannot afford to have operational voids when the enemy is at the gates. The Defense Acquisition Procedure DAP 2020 has been aligned to empower the domestic industry. Another initiative has been to increase the FDI limit in defense production to 74% from the existing 49% under the automatic route. So while all these initiatives are quite appreciable, there is a lot of work that still needs to be done. And so I come to what more needs to be done. Our former defense minister, late Sri Manohar Parrikar, is known to have once remarked that our entire procurement process is based on distrust. There are certain inherent procedural lacunae that have crept into the acquisition process, which primarily arise due to the overbearing nature of our rules, regulations, and guidelines in trying to ensure zero error. This is also aggravated by our own interpretation of rules. The DPP 2016, which was about 450 pages, has now evolved to DAP 2020, which has 681 pages. We end up not only not being able to fast track the process of acquisition, it is because we try to cater for every contingency and plug every loophole. This results in the acquisition process being tied up in knots. To that end, what has happened is that the processes and procedures, rather than the product, have become paramount, and these are holding hostage defense modernization. To this end, let me give a few points, a few illustrations across the board, not relevant or particular to anyone. Our qualitative requirements, for example, are formulated in a very stringent manner. We want the best of what is available across the world without realizing the overarching technological limitations that come with every feature that is expected in an equipment. To compound the issue, vendors also tend to overpromise. Combining both in a set of QRs becomes undeliverable. These then require a reset from time to time when a lot of effort and resources have been spent in trying to achieve them. Another aspect is the interpretation of various rules and regulations. For example, a QR was formulated for skis to be used in snowbound terrain to weigh between 2 and 5 kilos. When a vendor offered ultralight skis weighing 1.6 kilos, he was rejected at the TEC stage. Similarly, punjees, which are essentially sharp pointed spikes used as obstacles, during the JRI on delivery, its weight was found to be 6 kilos, but it was rejected because the QR said between 3 and 5 kilos. Why I'm highlighting these two examples, which are opposite end of the spectrum, is because they're defying logic. Little did we consider that the heavier weight of the punjees or the lighter weight of the skis are actually better for operations. But no, it was written in stone, and there was no way you could override any of these regulations. Yet another aspect is the user trials of equipment. The main refrain being that trials take too long. Well, let me clarify that most of the time which is spent in the trials or in the trial phase is actually taken up by physical movement of the equipment to and fro the trial area, repairs, logistics, and so on. And that is why all these delays. The laborious and time-consuming and often rigid stages of this acquisition process also in themselves create delays in the acquisition cycle. During this cycle, better versions of the equipment become available than is in the original contract. But there is still no scope for negotiation to incorporate these new features and to make any mid-course corrections. Any contemplated change takes this already delayed cycle back to the start point, and then you have to start once again. So it becomes a vicious cycle. So we need to be able to fast track all these things. Since we have made the rules, we should also have the latitude to override them. Pravdhan nahi hai is no excuse that there is no provision. We made the rules, we should have the override facility. The rules have to be user-friendly, both for the customer, that is end user, the armed forces, as well as the manufacturer. The process is only to help these two ends. And this waiver clause must be there to cater for operational condition and the logic which I just mentioned, and to accommodate different specifications than were originally promulgated. The aim should be to induct the product fastest, rather than trying to go through all the process and all these stages as a mandatory kind of requirement. Here I wish to underscore that in order to complement the revolution in military affairs, RMA, that we keep talking about, we also require a revolution in bureaucratic affairs, or RBA, to realize our vision of self-reliance. A recent article just 2 days ago in the news website The Wire titled "The Deadly Alphabet Soup," that is India's defense acquisition procedure, further reinforces this point. I quote from the article: "Innumerable sentences in the recent Defense Acquisition Procedure 2020, unveiled in September, run into hundreds of words and paragraphs into countless sentences, severely challenging comprehension, as one tends to forget the beginning of the text by the time the end is reached. Interlacing it with equally confusing acronyms further taxes the decipherer, unquote. This indeed should be a wake-up call for all of us. But let me assure you, that does not mean that everything is not good. There are a number of initiatives being taken to refine this process and give a boost to our industry. And the Army Design Bureau is one such measure, and since its inception in 2017, it has been harnessing the potential of local industry and the academia for addressing the requirements of the Indian Army. It has undertaken pan-India mapping of institutions, including IITs, hand-holding of industry by providing firing ranges, testing facilities, equipment and weapon systems, innovation competitions, DEF Expo. All these have resulted in a coherent development of our capabilities and aligned to the requirements of the Army. On our part, we have brought about major structural changes in our organization, the revolution I was talking about, by aligning both the revenue and capital routes of procurement under the Deputy Chief of Army Staff, Capability Development and Sustenance, the erstwhile DCOS PNS. And combining these procurement routes will result in optimal capability building, as it will provide a single point of contact to the industry. We have also encouraged industry visits to operational areas and organized equipment displays to provide a clear operational perspective and access to service equipment. The annual Master General of Sustenance, erstwhile MGO, Industry Cooperation Meet is yet another major event where we release our olive pages, which lists our annual requirement of spares, both for sustenance and upgrades, and these documents are widely available on the Indian Army website. The huge potential of technological research offered by our IITs and the startup incubation centers established by these IITs is being tapped for progressing indigenous development of niche technologies. We support an R&D for development of these niche technologies through the Army Technology Board and the Technology Development Fund. Presently, 14 projects are under progress through the ATB, including various cutting-edge programs. The TDF likewise looks at the development of technologies and prototypes with potential use for the defense and has annual budget of 100 crore. 10 projects are being progressed through this route, and we are eagerly looking forward to fructification of these initiatives from the industry. Another initiative is the IDEX platform, which provides an opportunity to young innovators and startups to come up and provide solutions to the challenges thrown out under this scheme. Due to the institutional financial support and confirmed procurement of successful developments, the IDEX has gained substantial traction in the defense startup community. Presently, under the IDEX Defense India Startup Challenge, or DISC, we have 4 ongoing projects with 14 startups that are being funded by the Indian Army. In addition, 3 proposals have been selected by the High Power Committee from the wide response received under the IDEX. The IDEX for Fauji was launched by the Honorable Raksha Mantri on 29 September last year to foster and develop innovations and ideas by service personnel. This is a forward-looking step for pan-India internal innovation through which our user innovators will get substantial impetus. While the government is making necessary policy changes and the military is committed to support indigenization, such initiatives would bring results only with the active support from the industry. Industry associations have played a major role in enabling outreach and providing a common platform for the industry to interact with us and showcase their expertise. The inputs of the industry which we receive through the CII and the SIDM in particular go a long way in affecting policy modulation
and changes. This is a healthy relationship, and I'm sure it will go a long way in developing our indigenous industry. I'm aware that the SIDM has played a pivotal role during the last 6 months in enabling the indigenous industry to showcase their equipment in the domain of surveillance drones and specialist vehicles for high altitude areas. Outreach and handholding by the Indian Army on multiple occasions has resulted in these being demonstrated and evaluated in actual operational areas. And I'm also happy to say that emergency procurement cases that we have progressed, these have come up well, and contracts for indigenously built surveillance drones and specialist vehicles have only recently been concluded. I must also compliment the SIDM for facilitating conduct of the series just concluded, the startup search webinars, and as conducted by the ADB. More than 10 startups have been identified for innovative use of niche technology, which if developed can successfully enhance our operational capability. Today, we have signed a MOU with the SIDM for taking this relationship further. This MOU is a reiteration of a firm resolve towards achieving self-reliance by supporting and handholding the indigenous defense industry. The Army has taken significant initiatives towards promoting innovation in defense. The annual innovation competition organized by the ADB with support from the industry in the run-up to the Army Day has seen encouraging results. The success of such initiatives lies in the industry taking these ideas up to production. Here and again, we expect the CIA and SIDM to play the role of facilitator. In the end, I must once again reiterate that the Indian Army is committed to fighting future conflicts with indigenous solutions and winning wars with Indian equipment. The need of the hour today is not just a revolution in military affairs, but to fight the modern day war, a revolution in bureaucratic affairs is also required to fast track relevant and future capability development. I am confident that the Army industry partnership is only set to grow from strength to strength in the coming times. I wish you all good luck and Godspeed. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, General. And I must say that your speech truly built some enormous amount of confidence. And I must also say, laid a roadmap for both the Army and the SIDM CII to move forward. With what you just said about the processes and procedures, that gives us a clear roadmap and a direction to work on, and we shall commit to doing that, and we'll see it through. With that, of course, I have no doubts in achieving whatever national targets have been set by our leadership to be achieved. Ladies and gentlemen, before I call Prakash Shukla to sum up, this amazing 25 years old of relationship, I want we all to be standing in standing ovation to this partnership of 25 years together between the Army and the industry. Prakash, may I now invite you to the vote of thanks and sum up.
Thank you, Jayant. General M.M. Naravne, Chief of the Army Staff, Dr. G. Satish Reddy, Chairman DRDO, Shri Jhaju, AS Defense Production, my colleagues from the industry, Mr. Kalyani, Mr. Patil, Mr. Chanjit Banerjee, DGCII, senior officers of the Army, industry colleagues, and friends from the media. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor for me to deliver the concluding remarks of this commemorative session with all the stakeholders who have fostered the Army-industry partnership in last 2.5 decades. It almost coincides with the liberalization process which began
of Indian economy in 1995. I sincerely thank General Naravane, Dr. Satish Reddy, for honoring us today with their gracious presence. We are grateful to you, sir, for all the time which you share from your extremely busy schedule. Share your perspective and valuable guidance to take this partnership to next. Always preparing with an endeavor to state-of-the-art capabilities on behalf of the industry. I must state that we feel privileged for our endeavors in making India Atmanirbhar. Already, many points have been very well highlighted by my industry colleagues, and I would not repeat and waste time even, including several initiatives taken by the government for growth of the industry. What it brings out is that these policy initiatives clearly indicate that both the defense forces and the government have belief in the capability of Indian industry. It is very heartening for us to note that. It gives us strength, it encourages us, it motivates us. We are seriously looking at target of $25 billion in exports. It is always an inquiry from potential customers. Indian Army bought from you. And our exports will be greatly facilitated as we are able to make more and more supplies to our own army. We are very thankful to Army and MOD for progressing Make in India initiative of our government with the private sector. I must specifically mention that large orders are now being released to private sector by the Army and MOD for platforms. A beginning was made with parts and components. Slowly we moved to sub-assemblies, and several platforms are mentioned by the chief. Today, we are happy to say that orders are being released for induction of armored vehicles that are designed and built on a family of vehicles approach so that we can reduce logistics and keep the cost low. My thanks to the Chief of Army Staff, General Naravane, for this partnership with the industry. Sir, thank you. And certainly with the assistance of government, ASDP, Mr. Raju. Mr. Raju, we can start exporting this family of vehicles even outside India to friendly nations. With the DRDO, industry is now developing larger platforms like 8x8 combat vehicles under the recently announced development cum production model. This again is reflective of the trust DRDO and MOD have in the Indian private sector to meet the demands of the Army. I do hope to see this platform inducted into the Army soon. Such partnership will certainly be a game changer for our country. Our partnership with the Army over the years has been built through our collective and collaborative efforts. Regular dialogue and communication with the Army has been necessary to understand the needs of the Army and create specific solutions for addressing them. Consistency and persuasiveness with which CII and now SIDM has advanced this cause towards achieving this partnership with the Indian Army for last 25 years needs a special mention. It is a true example of an institution working selflessly for benefit of the nation while fostering a partnership between the Army and the private industry. I am extremely optimistic towards this partnership becoming a strong pillar of growth as India recovers and rebounds from COVID-19. I am certain that the industry will deliver to every challenge posed by the Army for its requirements. Before concluding, I would also like to express my gratitude to all the officers and veterans of the Army who have lent support for this partnership over the years and who have worked tirelessly with the industry. On behalf of the industry, we are extremely grateful to the soldiers who protect us day in and day out, especially during these difficult times. Once again, I would like to thank General Saab, General Naramne, Dr. Satish Reddy, and Mr. Sanjay Jhaju for having been with us today to celebrate the momentous occasion of 25 years of Army industry partnership. Thank you all and Jai Hind.
Thank you, Prakash. Let me say that thank you once again. Thank you, General Naravne. Thank you, Dr. Reddy. Thank you, Baba. Thank you, Chandrajit. Thank you, Sujit, General Jauhar, and a whole lot of colleagues from industry for this landmark session. And we look forward to, as we just spoke, committing ourselves to the future journey in some of those new directions which we just heard from the Chief. May I now call the session to a close. Jai Hind.